Hello everyone and welcome to round 5 of the iRacing Skip Barber series, coming to you this week from Road Atlanta. After the short circuit shenanigans of Hockenheim last week, we've got another quick lap this week. This isn't the full Road Atlanta layout, we're on the short circuit again. The fastest drivers seem to be able to get around here in about 1 minute 6 seconds. As for me, I'm a couple of seconds off that. I'm aiming for 1:08. But this race is going to be tough for me, there's no doubt about that. It's a single split race. We've just come back off iRacing maintenance, so there wasn't a particularly big entry list, and as a result, we're all grouped onto one grid today, and as you can see there, I've managed to do a 108.7, which I was really happy with. One of my best laps, but it's only good enough for 9th on the grid. We're up against some really fast drivers here. But anyway, the lights are about to go green, so let's get over to the grid and see how we get on. Much like at Hockenheim last week, I'm really worried about these cold tyres. It took me several laps in practice to get them up to temperature. And of course in qualifying you don't have the luxury of several laps. You've just got 2 flying laps, and I found it really hard to control the car. And this turn 1 was one of the corners that gave me the biggest problems. The rear really wants to step out here, so I'm going to take it extremely cautiously. Thankfully everyone else is as well. We've made a decent start. I think we've maintained position. So we just need to play it safe through the S's here. Oh, we've been completely poleaxed and taken out of the race. Oh, this is a complete disaster, and it was such a big hit. I'll be amazed if we haven't picked up some damage. This could be race over, and we're only 2 laps into it. And we're rejoining dead last. Okay, let's check out the replay and see if we can get to the bottom of what caused that. I must admit, my initial instinct was that I might have brought that on myself. I was really paranoid about the cold tyres. I didn't want to lose control, and as a result, I approached the S's really cautiously, probably a bit slower than I could have done, and it might have caught out the drivers behind. Let's take a look. We can see that I let a small gap open up to the cars in front. That was deliberate, just to give myself a bit of breathing room. Oh, but look at that, the number 18 comes in really hot there. He had no chance of stopping and went right through me. But was it my overcautiousness that caused it? We're on board now with the driver, Pascal Biscup, and as you can see, he was absolutely flooring it into that turn, and it certainly caught him out when he came across me, entering the corner a bit more cautiously. And from the chopper cam, we can also see that the number 10 car, he had to take avoiding action too, due to the speed of my corner entry. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. Was I being too overcautious, or was it down to those other drivers to play it just as safe as I did? Let me know what you think. Well, we're not going to be dead last for long by the looks of it. The yellows are out again, and that's 2 more cars that have come to grief. I don't know if they were part of my incident or not, but nevertheless, we have gained 2 positions back. However, I'm really paranoid about pushing this car now. Not only are we on cold tyres, but we've likely got some rear wing damage as well from that big hit coming into the S's, so we've just got to take it as carefully as possible. I thought I saw another yellow come out there, but it was gone as quickly as it came out, so it was probably just someone clipping the curb. But we've got a very slow car on the left. Is he going to enter the pits? I was a bit hesitant about tucking it up the inside there, because that does go right across the pit entry line. And yes, he did go into the pits, but thankfully we got past okay without causing him any more trouble. So where are we at the end of that first lap? We're 14th out of 18. We might gain another position here. It looks like something else has gone on. Yeah, there's 2 more cars parked up on the grass, so that's put us up to 12th. And we've got a good target to chase here. Anders Johansson in front of us. He was really fast in practice and qualifying, but I think he elected to start from pit lane, probably wisely, given all the carnage that went on in the first few corners. So yeah, let's see what we can do to try and stick with Anders here. The car doesn't feel too bad. I was really expecting there to be some major handling issues. It was such a big hit in that first lap incident, and yeah, I'm amazed that I haven't picked up any more damage to my rear wing or my rear wheels for that matter. And the yellows are out in the final chicane again, so whatever's happened, it looks like the drivers involved have rejoined, but that will group the pack closer together. So yeah, although we're in 12th, we've got sight now as far as 8th position, so all is not lost yet. And look at the relative board, we're actually up to 11th, so we must have lost another driver. I guess that someone else must have picked up some damage and was in pit lane as we went past there. So yeah, up to 11th, so we've got a sniff of a top 10 after all, which seemed pretty unlikely after that first lap spill, when we rejoined in dead last. The car appears to be handling okay at the moment, so whatever damage we did pick up, it doesn't seem to be adversely affecting performance, which is good news. And with that, it looks like we've got our first back marker to get past. And it's going to be a bit tight on the inside. I'm going to clip the grass slightly. Thankfully, there was enough room to get past safely. And we can continue our pursuit of the cars in 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. It'll be interesting to see the lap time when we cross the line. That'll be the real indicator of whether we've picked up damage. Our first flying lap was a 109.4, so that is a good second off qualifying pace. But again, I was taking it easy. So are we going to improve on that this time? A 108.5. So yeah, we're right on qualifying pace now. So that's a really encouraging sign. And another encouraging sign is how closely those three cars are battling at the front of this pack. Anders quite wisely has given them a bit of space by the looks of it, because this could end in disaster and we could gain a couple more positions here. In fact, we're going to. Look, two cars have binned it into the entrance to the S's. Oh, I suspected that something like that might happen, judging by how close they were battling, and I think Anders thought the same, and that's why he gave them a bit of space, which turned out to be an incredibly sensible decision. So we're up to 9th. Right, let's take a pause from the live action to check out some replays of the incidents that helped us get back from 18th to 9th place in the space of a couple of laps. We're back on board with Pascal Biscup to begin with. We've just seen him knock me off, and he's going to get a great view of the two cars in front battling, and it looks like a case of cold tyres again. Raul Cuevas in the blue number 6, just asking too much of the car, loses the rear, and unfortunately he takes the number 13 of Paul Micardier with him. And then at the start of lap 2 we saw cold tyres once again cost not 1, not 2, but 3 drivers in an identical mistake. It's an incredible example of synchronised spinning at its very best, and actually it makes me feel a little bit better about taking my first laps so cautiously, because that's what could have happened. And then on lap 4 we saw the number 14 Christian Wettstein try a move up the inside, ran it in too hot, couldn't save the rear, and took Marco Berggraf with him. Back to the live action now, and we fast forwarded to lap 9 because I'm in a pretty lonely 9th position now. I mentioned earlier in the race that Anders Johansson had good pace, and it was no surprise that he began pulling away and opening that gap. He stretched the advantage now to 6.5 seconds, so I think the chances of me seeing Anders again in this race are very slim. Instead, I've got to concentrate on what's going on behind me, namely Lawson Bandini. He's catching me at a rate of knots. Now, Lawson was one of the 3 drivers who span out at this turn 1 in the early stages, and he's got a lot more pace than me. He's clearly recovered from that crash, and now he's going to be hounding me. So let's rejoin the live action and see if we can defend and hold him off. I'll be perfectly honest, I don't fancy my chances here. It's looking like he's poised to pounce now. He's been taking the best part of a second off me every lap over the past 5 minutes or so. And I suspect he's going to have the benefit from some draft down this fast straight. So I don't think I'm going to take the defensive line. If he wants to try for it, he can go up the inside, and I'll give him the space he needs. So yeah, there we go. Bandini up to 9th, I'm down to 10th. And admittedly, it was a little bit of a soft way to concede a position, but knowing how much faster he is than me, I just didn't think it was worth the risk of pushing myself and trying to defend the position too hard. Yeah, we can see from the replay that it's a textbook Road Atlanta overtake, using the draft from this long downhill straight. Gets the speed he needs, pulls it out onto the inside. Like I said, I wasn't going to defend. If he wanted to make the move and had the room up the inside, he could have it. And I was grateful to see him go through safely. But glancing behind me, it looks like I'm going to have some more company pretty soon. So we'll fast forward the live action a couple laps again, and you'll see that I've been unable to keep up with Bandini. Unsurprisingly, he's opened up a 2.5 second advantage over the previous 2 laps. So instead, I've got to concentrate on my rearview mirror again. we can see the light blue car of Raul Cuevas is gaining fast. You might remember Cuevas as the driver who lost the rear in the S's on lap 1 shortly after my crash. Well, he's found his pace now, and you can be sure of one thing: he wants that top 10 position, and he's going to fight for it. So let's rejoin the live action and see if we can defend this position a little bit better than we did against Bandini. Oh, and a big mistake there. We took a lot of the curb. It's a blind apex there. It's really tricky to get right, and I was just feeling the pressure a bit, trying to take the corner faster than I normally would. It's messed up my line completely, and it's invited Cuevas to sneak up the inside. So now the question is, has that unplanned wide entry into this turn given me a bit more exit speed? And I think it has. We've used a bit of draft too, and we're right back alongside Cuevas, so I think we're going to be able to fight right back here. And I think we've got enough speed to get back onto the racing line too before the chicane, so that's going to be a real help to get us through here safely. So what's Cuevas got in response? Is he going to fire right back? Is he going to try up the inside into the final turn? I hope not. No, I don't think he's close enough, so we're going to hold the position onto the start and finish straight. I know he's lapping faster than me because he's slowly but surely gained on me over the previous few laps, but looking in the rear view mirror, he might have some front end damage, you know, so that could be affecting the handling of his car. But I need to get my line spot on through the S's this time. I don't want to make the same mistake again. Oh, and Cuevas dives right up the inside into the S's. There was contact, but it was minimal, and that was an incredible pass from Cuevas. I never expected him to make the move there. It caught me completely by surprise, but fair play to him. He's made it stick. And this battle has brought Christian Wettstein back into play. He's closed to within half a second of me now, so I've got company behind as well as in front, but we might get back in front of Cuevas here. We've got the draft again. His front nose damage must be affecting his top speed because we breezed past him with ease there. And it looks like Wettstein was trying to take the same gap, and there's contact. I saw a cloud of smoke in the rearview mirror, and I think they both might have gone. Wettstein has definitely gone, and Cuevas is losing ground, so I suspect he's picked up even more damage. And we've got our 10th place back. Well, let's go back and check out some highlights of this crazy battle with Cuevas, and it started there with my mistake. I just clipped too much of the inside curb. Not only did it cost me speed, but it also ruined my line through the entirety of this section. The gap was wide open for Cuevas to make a move up the inside, but because of my wider entry, I was able to get on the gas a bit earlier. That gave me a lot more speed, although with hindsight, I suspect that Cuevas' top speed was impacted by that front wing damage. But damage or no damage, we had the inside line on the approach to the chicane to make the pass stick, and we even managed to get back onto the racing line to find that smooth path through the chicane. And then at the start of the next lap, we saw this incredible overtake from Cuevas. It really did catch me by surprise here. I didn't think I'd left the room, but somehow he found it, and look at that! It was brave, it was incredibly risky, but somehow he made it stick, and let's watch it from the onboard to see just how little room he had to play with. An outstanding manoeuvre. But unfortunately for Cuevas, his efforts were all for nothing because I was able to get back around him, and then when Christian Wettstein tried to take the same gap, there was big contact. We're rejoining the race with 2 laps to go, and as you can see, I've managed to maintain that 10th position. Bandini in 9th is 10 seconds down the road, so he's gone. But instead, I'm just keeping one eye on my rear view mirror because Ville Mansak in the Amy is less than 2 seconds behind now. However, the most pleasing thing for me at this stage of the race is my lap times. Just take a look at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. My last lap was a 107.5, so I'm lapping about a second quicker than I was in qualifying. Usually when I enter these Skip Barber races in iRacing, the entry list is a lot bigger and it's divided into several splits. I'm usually in the lower split because of my lower I rating, and I really do believe that the pace I'm running in this race now would be really competitive in a lower split. I'd feel really confident that I could push for a podium or even a race win, but as it is, we've joined this race just after iRacing came out of maintenance, so there were a lot fewer players online, so it's one split. All abilities in the same split, and we're up against some really fast drivers here. So with that in mind, and of course the disastrous start that we had, crashing out and rejoining in dead last, taking all that into consideration, I've got to be happy with a top 10 finish in a single split race. Having said that, we don't want to get complacent because we've still got a lap to go, and Mansikiniemi is within a second of me now. 0.8 seconds is the gap. And you can be sure that he's going to be pushing as hard as he can on this last lap to try and catch up with me and pass me. So we're going to have our wits about us here. And yeah, I can see him clearly in my rearview mirror now, and I can also see a back marker up ahead who we're gaining on fast. So this race is definitely not over yet. My biggest concern now is that we're going to catch this back marker right at the chicane, but hopefully he'll just ease off the gas a bit and let us get around before then. It looks like he has done. That's really good news. And if we can just get through this chicane cleanly and still be ahead of Mansikiniemi, we should be okay. Exiting the chicane, we've got through that okay. Mansikiniemi's still 0.9 of a second behind, so we're looking good to get that top 10 finish after all. And there's the checkered flag. Yeah, that was really hard work, that race. It was the strongest grid I've lined up on in the Skip Barber series this season in terms of ability and iRating. And yeah, I'm really happy actually just to get through it with a top 10 finish. As I said a bit earlier, I do feel a bit unfortunate that I wasn't in a lower split, because I think with the pace that I was running, particularly in the second half of the race, we really could have battled for our first victory, but it wasn't to be. We were in a single split race, and you can see there from the classified results just how fast some of these guys are. Look at the top two. Both of their fastest laps were in the 105s. That's eye-wateringly fast around this Road Atlanta short circuit. And as for me, I'm down there in 10th, and I think that's pretty much as good as I could have expected from this race, particularly when you look at the fastest lap times. Mine was a 107.5, but look at the top 9. All the drivers ahead of me were 106.8 or better. I'm also really encouraged when I look at the iRatings of some of the drivers I was battling with. Mansikiniemi right behind me has got an iRating of 1900, and I look at Cuevas as well, who I battled with, 1778, although he's lost 70 from that race alone. So yeah, I do think that my own iRating is a bit of an unfair reflection on where I am at the moment. I think my ability is a lot better than an iRating of 1168, but it took a hell of a hit during my BMW 12.0 challenge last season, and I'm still working hard to try and repair that damage. I just need to find a bit more consistency, and I do think I can get back up to that 13 or 1400 mark where I feel I should rightfully be. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you did enjoy the video, please do leave a like or consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.